You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
All right, happy hump day presented by Bet365. It's time for the Wednesday edition of Leafs Morning Take. It is July 9th. Not much has occurred just yet. Nick Alberga, Jay Rosehill. How we doing, Rosie?
How we doing? Same old buddy. Just waiting for news to break, things to happen, and thinking about this team a little down the road here.
Man, I'm at the shark whisperer point of the offseason, and it's July 9th. I don't know if you had a chance to check out this Netflix documentary about this couple. This girl named Ocean, she treats sharks like they're dogs. It's pretty crazy, man. She swims with them, and they just connect. They get along. It is wild stuff.
Yeah, there was a guy that had a connection with the grizzly bears and did a documentary too, and that ended poorly. So wait for round 2 on this one. Of course, your name's Ocean. That's pretty cool. I gotta watch that though. It sounds interesting. I'll check it out,
dude. Not to disclose too much, but like the sharks will come up to her and she'll just like pat them on the head and like push them down. I don't know. I think we're at a point in society where anything goes. But yeah, I just have a feeling that's gonna end sadly. But I will give her credit because throughout the documentary, she's like, if I go this way, here's official consent on camera that I'm okay with it. So the obituary would be fun.
Honestly, there's that grizzly man. There's like full on, I don't know if it's video. Grizzly man is the one with the grizzly with Timothy Treadwell. I don't know why I remember that guy's name, but there's a full on, I think it's audio, maybe video of him just keep being eaten, and the family hasn't released it. But sadly, Jesus. I have looked for it to be like, how did that go down? Yeah, I don't know. Some people are a little lost and are looking for a connection to be special. And when you're doing it with wild predators, I think it's usually going to end up bad. But I will check that out. There is a lot of, I don't watch a lot of TV. I guess maybe in the summertime it's even less. But I keep looking at my thing and going, oh my God, I got to save that. And there's good little documentaries coming out all the time, which I love.
Yeah, I do, and I've been going down a rabbit hole lately again. I love hockey so much, and during the season, I feel very, very consumed. I feel very, very naked right now. In the summer, there's just not much cooking. I will say the Blue Jays haven't lost a game since Mitch Marner left and went to Vegas. I'll just put that out there. And I've been down a rabbit hole, and Steve Irwin's kids keep coming up, man. You remember Steve Irwin? Like, he was the initial. He would just like, I don't know, man. Like, it's pretty crazy, but the kids have sort of become the dad here, man. Like, he just said away with animals. It was wild.
Yeah, he was actually like the most likable guy on the planet. And for all the stuff he did with Crocs and stuff, like a stupid little stingray stinger went right through his heart or something. Like, what are we doing? But by all accounts, like the nicest guy in the world and family. So it's kind of nice that story didn't end with that. And the kids are taking up his legacy. So that's one thing that I get behind, not the Sharky Grizzly guys, just the crocodile, man. That one's okay.
Fair enough. Emilio Betrano, Rosie, he yells, and he says, I added Rosie on IG.
Emilio, we can't do this every day, man. We just can't do this every day. It's early. I got a coffee in me. I gave you a good one at the end of the show. On the gram. Hey, okay, on the gram.
Yeah, have a look there.
Post show, I'll check it out.
You can do it right now if you want. There's not much cooking. Our Super Chat charity partner this season is Sick Kids. Want to make sure that your question or comment gets on the show. Hit us up with a Super Chat. Proceeds from our Super Chat will go to Sick Kids, ranked the #1 research-intensive children's hospital in Canada and 3rd in the world. I guess the positive part about doing shows in the summer, there's always videos that go viral, and they usually stem from a golf course, and they usually include intoxication and a fight. And I'm working with a former tough guy in the NHL. And then when you blend the two together, that's what makes it go viral. There was a scrap that went down the other day on a golf course. And this drunk fuck ended up bumping into former NHLer Nick Tarnasky. Can you break it down for us, Rosie?
Well, this guy is just can't even stand up drunk, holding up the whole show. It's the same tournament I played in last year. This is in Alberta, my side. And that's Tarno. I played with Tarnasky for 2 seasons. I trained with him in the summer. He did everything he could to get this guy away from him. Finally, he wouldn't stop. So Tarno lets him have it. It's so funny how he jersey grabs him. And the very
Dude, away.
Watch this launch. This is like throwing Will Smith out of the house at the beginning of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Here we go. He comes back for more. Zing. Too good, dude. Why is this guy's buddies not in there getting him in the cart and moving on away from this situation is beyond me. Probably because he's a drunk moron who does this all the time. And I actually heard that guy is a complete moron and has been in all kinds of altercations. So good on Nick. I saw the video come out, just like someone sent it to me personally and said, look at Tarno. And I was like, oh boy, that's going to make the rounds. And it did, but no one was talking about it being Tarno. And I'm like, okay, this is going under the radar. And then it came out that it was in fact him. And now it's just exploded, which I thought it was funny. And honestly, Tarno, I don't think could have handled himself too much better. That guy just would not stop relentlessly challenging him. So if I was in his position, I'd probably feed him his lunch a little bit too, and then throw him out the door. That's kind of a funny video, especially with the guy going into the water off the beginning and Tarno's buddy going, good start, buddy.
No, I thought that was the best part of it. It really felt like Tarnowski was like his last game in the show where he's like, you know what, I'm going to let this eat a bit. I think he taught this guy a bit of a lesson, but if he really wanted to kill him, he could have killed him. I think he let this guy off the hook a bit, but right away when you see him grab like that, you're like, you could tell this guy is a hockey player. Reminds me back in the day when, 18, 19, you go to the bar, there's always a scrap. Most scraps involve like somebody who played hockey and they latch onto the guy. Like that's the feel, but he had his way with this guy. But I think hopefully he showed him a lesson where it's like, he's not going to pull that stunt again, because I think he could have had a really, really bad day. He had a bad day, but not a terrible day, I think.
Well, you get the booze and the boys during those tourneys, it gets a little out of control. So hopefully he learned his lesson, but you can't pin her on the sauce that hard, folks. You just can't pin her that hard. You gotta figure out life a little bit more than that.
You learned so many things on this podcast. Pete Walton writes in, don't drink and be an ass. Simply put, right, Rosie?
Good advice. Good advice. My kid just turned 12, so I keep thinking about him being a teenager and this and that. And kids getting into the sauce, and obviously grown adults are no better. But if you learn early, you might help yourself out down the road. The sauce ain't good when you're putting her back that hard. So just take it easy. Enjoy responsibly. This is a booze responsible pod, right, Nick?
Yeah, very well said. And I think just last note on Tarnowski, it's really weird how stuff works out. But I was in Florida in February and I met somebody and she was like, do you know Nick Tarnowski? And I'm like, that name rings a bell from like 15 years ago in the show. And then I followed up with a buddy who knew him too. And now this video comes out. Like, what a random guy to speak about to begin with. And then you see a video of him tuning somebody on the golf course. So a full circle moment. On top of that, another special guest on today's show, my buddy Zac Dalpe, retired from pro hockey the other day. What a journey. What a story. If you recall, a couple of years back, he finished the season with the Florida Panthers. In fact, he was on that team where Keith Tkachuk called them soft on TSN radio prior to the game in Toronto. They went all the way to the Stanley Cup final that year. It was a magical year. That was the intriguing part for me, Rosie. They go to the Cup final. It really felt like they were a team of destiny. If you recall, they were down dead to rights against the Boston Bruins and fought back. And then Vegas beats them out of all teams in the Stanley Cup final. So we're going to relive that journey a bit with Zac Dalpe coming up in about 10 minutes here.
Yeah, isn't that weird that there was a point in time where the Florida Panthers were getting called out for being soft, like right before the playoffs? Like, what was happening there? But and imagine they won that too. Imagine they were the 3-time Cup champs right now, who are loaded up with the same guys that are difference makers, albeit, only Marchand's getting a little bit old and he doesn't seem to be slowing down, but locked down till like 2030 as well. It's just be absolutely scary. But no, it'll be fun to get into his ear a little bit. You look at his DB, like, my God, he played a long time on a lot of different teams at a lot of different levels. And by all means, by the end was just probably considered the most solid, wily veteran in any league he would have been in. So good for him. And I know what it's like to retire and think about the next step. So we'll pick his brain a little bit as well.
Sounds good. At the Leafs Nation 401 on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs Want to Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure you leave us a 5-star review. Don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com. I know you had a great birthday weekend in BC. I had a couple of drinks myself, and it was Simply Spiked that was on the menu this past weekend, Rosie. A billion different flavors. new limeade flavor, a lemonade, a peach, and I can't think of something better to enjoy summer with. Honestly, I was just sitting back, had the music blaring, a bit of country music, and chilling with my buddies, drinking some Simply Spiked. Had a weekend, buddy.
Yeah, I did the right thing and brought that little inventory that was dropped off at my house to the festivities this weekend, and they got dummied in a hurry. And thinking back to that dummy on the tee box, he was probably drinking straight rye, which leads you to that type of event. But maybe if he was enjoying Simply Spiked a little bit, things would have been a little bit funner.
Just the taste of summer, man. Made with real fruit juice, 5% alcohol, refreshing, convenient. Don't forget, must be legal drinking age. Celebrate responsibly. Simply Spiked. This is what summer tastes like. It really does. I was having a couple of those again over the weekend. I'm like, this is just tremendous stuff. And it's great with music, country music specifically. So enjoy that. Moving forward. So the latest rumor out there, Rosie. It seems like on a daily, the Leafs are being linked to a guy who used to play for Brad Treliving. The next being Dougie Hamilton, who's currently with the New Jersey Devils. It sounds like his name is out there. At least New Jersey will pick up the phone. I never know what that means, pick up the phone. Like, if I call you and Jack Hughes, are you going to pick up the phone or just like ghost me like half the percent of the population does? But they're willing to listen on Dougie Hamilton, a right-handed shooting defenseman. He's 32. Oh, look, he's from Toronto. The thing that does scare me, I won't lie, 3 years left at $9 million per season. But again, there is the familiarity with Brad Treliving. Are you interested, Rosie?
Like, great player, but not even remotely interested. Like, what are we doing? And like, are these rumors, even the real like top insider guys get it completely wrong? I'm seeing these no name idiot accounts that tweet the weirdest stuff in the world. And like, is that what we're going off? But I do understand, like, I've seen it a few different times. Why would you add a $9 million defenseman after watching the playoffs the last 10 years? Like, I don't get it. And you just lost Mitch Marner. So you're going to replace him with another good D-man? I don't get it. I've liked the way that Brad has got some cap space in his pocket, and he's being patient with what's happening in the hopes of getting another top six forward. That's what this team needs. Like, am I out to lunch on this? Like, you get a $9 million defenseman and you go into a playoff series tomorrow. How are they going to score goals, man? That's their problem in the playoffs.
I will say this, and Mr. P-Mel Bacon put it perfectly, better be a shit ton of retention. In my world, there is a pathway where this makes a lot of sense. How long have the Maple Leafs been searching for a right-handed shooting defenseman to run a power play? For my money, one of the best power play quarterbacks in the NHL is Dougie Hamilton. Can he play defense? I mean, jury's still out. I think that's the only way. There's a couple reasons why there is potential from my standpoint to make a deal like this. I do think he fits. Number one would be Morgan Rielly. Like, you're not bringing in Dougie Hamilton and putting him on a pairing with Morgan Rielly. The only way you make this deal is if you get confirmation from Rielly's camp that suggests, yeah, I'm willing to move on. If you can move Morgan Rielly and bring in Dougie Hamilton, then it makes more sense, because I think a right-handed shooting guy running a power play, I think it'd be a perfect fit, but easier said than done. And then number two, the $9 million cap hit, I'm not really interested in. I guess it depends on how motivated the Devils are to make a deal involving Hamilton. I would need some retention. Like, if I get him, for example, at $7 million per season, I'm probably in. But there's like, that's the way I view it. So
you think any team in the world is going to switch Dougie Hamilton for Morgan Rielly and also eat $2 million so that they get Morgan Rielly for $9 million and give up Dougie Hamilton?
No, I'm not even suggesting that the Devils and Leafs hook up on a trade. Like, I don't think Morgan Rielly would go to New Jersey. I don't know that for example, like off by hand, but I'm not saying like there's a linear path there. I'm saying if you can move Morgan Rielly and bring in Dougie Hamilton, not in the same trade though, you know?
I'd be all about that too. Yeah. I haven't seen the rumors link Morgan with the trade, so I get what you're saying, but we've talked about Morgan Rielly ad nauseum throughout, free agency and leading up to it. And who's like, why do we want him off the team right now? Well, because he makes too much money and his production isn't very good and he's kind of headed in the wrong direction. Who wants that? Like, he makes $7.5 million. Like, you better be a stud out there. And you know what? Maybe in some faraway perfect dream world, some team would be like, you know what? We think he's going to be better. We think he's going to explode when he comes here. We think he's exactly what we need. We think he's in a rut in Toronto and he needs to get out of there, and we're going to have him flourish here. I guess that would be amazing, but I'll believe it when I see it. Maybe I'm wrong, but to get a Dougie Hamilton with retained value, like to have Doug Hamilton at $7 million and to have Morgan Riley move on, would you even get anything back for Morgan Riley, or would someone just take him from you? Like, that's, no one's going to give anything up, would they? It would be a blessing just to take him off if you were to get a Dougie Hamilton. I don't know. I don't see this being more than rumors at this point in time, but without moving Morgan Riley, it's absolutely not on Dougie Hamilton for me.
I think this offseason in general in the NHL has been a dud. We expected way more activity even this week, and nothing has really happened outside of maybe a pretty decently sized trade involving 2 prospects yesterday, Isaac Howard and then Sam O'Reilly going to Tampa, and Edmonton gets a prospect that can play right now. But I think there's going to be a lot of teams, especially the lower end teams, trying to get to the cap floor. And so I think a guy like Riley would make a lot of sense. But again, you'd have to get into that conversation. He's got a full no move. Hey, do you want to move? And if you do want to move, he's probably going to pinpoint where he wants to go. But that's the only pathway. When I saw this come out, I'm like, the only way it would make sense if you swap out Riley and then add a Dougie Hamilton. I wouldn't say that a trade that the Devils would be interested to begin with Riley in there, but I could see what they're thinking. But it feels like every day the Leafs are linked to a new player who played for Brad Treliving, you know?
Yeah, and dude, if they somehow moved Morgan Riley out and brought in Dougie Hamilton for a retained salary, it would just be an absolute masterclass by Treliving. I don't see how or why, but like you say, like, who are some teams that come to mind that need to get the cap floor? Like, is San Jose one of them? Anaheim's not one of them anymore. Who else needs to get to the cap floor that comes to mind?
I don't have at the top of my head here. I can look 1 second. Sorry, I'm just trying to
need to figure out, like, having a guy like him who's, again, we talk about it all the time, but guys come here and it's a good place in the summertime. It's a good place. You can go up to the Muskokas. You can train here. There's tons of players that skate here. So a lot of times guys like live here all year round in Toronto, which isn't always the case if you were to play in other markets. But you need to get that guy to lift up his roots and family. And we know he's got a family that's entrenched in the area to go move to wherever. And if all that you can get for him is a team that's trying to get to the cap floor, my question is, well, who are those teams, and would he even consider going to them?
So I'm just looking over at Puckpedia right now. Projected cap space, you got Anaheim at around 29 million, the Sharks at around 24 million, Chicago at like 22 million, the Jets at 19 million.
Maybe go to Anaheim.
So there's, Anaheim, Calgary, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Detroit, Seattle, Carolina,
not in a
Minnesota,
million years.
Nashville.
Maybe. Ooh.
There's a lot of teams with a lot of cap space. There's no players available.
Ooh, Nashville. That's starting to sound spicy to me. I'd go there.
Yeah. I don't know where you'd go, though. That's the problem, right? But again, we'll move on to that conversation. Just something I wanted to bring up because, again, every day, I don't know who the next player to be who's played for Brad Treliving is going to be, but we're going to monitor for sure.
You know how I am with the rumor mills. I don't get too.
Yeah, you love your rumor mill, the buzz. Yeah. That just gets you horned up on a daily basis. At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It's pretty crazy. Today's guest, roughly 15 years ago, I was over at NHL Network Radio. I had him on the show. He was ripping it up in the AHL. I believe it was during, and we hate this word on this podcast and in the NHL world, one of the lockouts. And ever since then, we formed a bond, a friendship. And 15 years later, he announces that he's retiring from pro hockey. We're happy to bring in here my man, Zack Delpy. Delps, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
I'm all right. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic. I never know what to say when somebody retires. I guess congratulations. I mean, what a journey. What a story. Appreciate you doing this. What's going through your mind now that you're ready to take that next step in your life?
Yeah, I mean, thanks for having me on. I listen to you guys a lot. Rosie, I love your Leaf takes, especially when you're upset. So
thanks, buddy.
No problem. as far as what's next or what to think, I mean, I just had to resolve an argument with my kids upstairs. So back to dad life for me. Just kind of taking it day by day, just trying to figure it out. Would love to stay in the game somehow. Everyone keeps telling me I got to stay active so I don't blow up. And no, just moved back home. We sold our house in Charlotte and just on to the next chapter.
Yeah, I remember the feeling, man. I would try to focus on the positives and not the things that you're going to miss. Like, how is not having to train this summer now feeling for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a couple of days. Like I trained a little bit the other day, and it was like 2 days ago, and I'm like, all right, I'm good for a little bit now. I've always been a pretty active guy, live a pretty healthy lifestyle with my wife and 3 kids. So got to lead by example still. I got the hockey mindset with that. But yeah, I'm actually looking forward to train without trying to be a hockey player, just train to feel good. So don't have to load up the bar and get underneath it. And if it's just a stretch in a sauna day, executive workout, then that's what it'll be.
I love it. What led to your decision? I know the last couple of years have been a grind, and you've been fighting through things. Like NHL players and hockey players in general are just so different than any other pro athlete, in my opinion. What you guys put yourselves through.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of had it in me, the decision that this was going to be my last year. It's just been 15 years of grinding. Loved every second of it, but I broke my leg in December, and it was my 11th surgery. So it kind of made the decision a little easier. Mentally, I'm sure you guys can, I'm sure with you, Rosie, like I could play on 45, but it's the physical part of it, and how much time and effort and money I spent on my body just to feel okay. And then you're just going into the corner for a puck battle, and your leg blows up and breaks. It's like, okay, 35 years old. Again, just, I like to think I played the game the right way, and there's some repercussions for that. So it just made the decision a lot easier. And, my kids are 8, 6, and 4, and starting to get pretty active in sports, and just thought it'd be the right time, I guess. I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to regret it. I'm obviously going to miss it, but just felt like it was the right time.
Well, congrats again, and good luck with anything you do next. I'm sure it'll be exciting, and I hope you enjoy it. I want to talk about what I would assume would be one of the highlights of your career is your time with the Florida Panthers, specifically in the playoffs. It was the year they went to the final, easily could have won, and it was, looking back, kind of the start of everything that happened in Florida, which everyone is talking about now. I'm curious, the fact that you were there kind of at the beginning, we were just talking before you got on about how Tkachuk was called out that team for being soft, and now they're anything but soft. What was Paul Maurice doing at that time that you remember that makes you think, holy, did he ever right that ship?
I mean, I could go on for hours about Mo. Specifically at that time, I remember a video session, and it was kind of nice for me because I was scratched like 7 or 8 games in a row. So I knew I wasn't going to be on the video, and which is always a nice feeling, which I feel like my time with Tortorella was always a better feeling when you didn't play the night before. The Sedins wanted to switch roles with you, and I feel like they would have switched bank accounts at the time too. But specifically for this instance, it was like we had this video in the morning, and he just ripped everybody. And it was basically like how hard, or how we didn't know what hard was. And with his like witty character and his personality, like he threw some jabs in there that was like, the comedic timing was unbelievable. And I was sitting there, I wasn't obviously going to laugh out loud, but I was sitting there like, biting my shirt, like this is the best speech I've ever heard. And it kind of echoed what Big Walt said. Obviously, he said it to the media, and Mo said it behind closed doors. But it was right around that time where I was like, whoa, like this guy means business. And it kind of righted the ship. I got sent down shortly after that, and then got called back up right before the playoffs. So as far as what happened from that meeting to how their game changed to the start of the playoffs, I can't really attest to. But at that time, I remember that meeting. I was like, this is one of the best meetings I've ever been a part of.
And it's great to get you on, because I think your story in general, but that story in general too, is just so amazing with the Florida Panthers. And dude, we even saw it this year with that fourth line. Like, I was there in round 2 against the Leafs, and all of a sudden, like Paul Maurice changes the entire fourth line. Greer comes in, Nosek comes in, and it just seems like every guy with that organization, not just that team, but the AHL, knows their role. Like, what is it about Paul Maurice outside of that where it's like, it doesn't matter who's in there. It's Zac Dalpe, it's AJ Greer. They go in there, they play their role, and that team wins games.
I mean, how much time do we have? I feel like, to sum it up, like, he's like a jazz musician on how he moves around the room. Like, I've never had a coach before where he was not in on all the conversation or chirps, but like he knew enough to like talk to every guy, and he was witty, like I said earlier. His comedic timing was unbelievable. Like, I know you guys probably saw with that series where he like got the goalie gear on and started learning how to, or teaching the guys how to play goalie or where the puck needs to go. Did you guys see that? Yeah. So just like stuff like that, like he just floats around the room. He knows what buttons to push on every guy. He's talking to you. He knows your personality. He's just like a high hockey IQ, but just a high IQ in general. Like, I know he's smart. And, yeah, I mean, I could go all day about him. Obviously, I didn't get a chance to be a part of those 2 Stanley Cups, but I felt like I got to learn how to grow with him during the times that time we lost. And, I'm just happy I was a part of it all.
Makes me a little sick to my stomach that the Leafs had him and didn't have any success. But speaking of the Leafs, do you pay attention to them? Obviously, you've been a little bit busy the last 15 years, but now that you're retired, are you going to start paying attention to what I assume is your hometown team? And what are you thinking about where they're at right now?
Oh, this is great. This is juicy. Yeah, I mean, I always pay attention to the Leafs because of the Gold Muzzy and you. And
Thank you.
Actually, my team growing up was the Vancouver Canucks, so I should probably sneak that in there. But growing up, obviously, in Southern Ontario, Dad was a huge Leafs fan. Wife's favorite player is Darcy Tucker. Yeah, so the whole thing, I mean, it's kind of hard not to pay attention. Where they're at right now, my brother works in St. Louis, so he got to know Chief a lot, Craig Berube. Obviously had really good things to say about him. I feel like they have the right guy for the job there. And then it's just personnel and character. Like, as you guys know, the thing with Matthew Tkachuk coming in from Calgary, like, it changed the culture of the team, where everybody was pulling on the same rope. So I feel like they were lucky to have something like that. But if you can somehow recreate that in Toronto, that's where it's going to be. I know the market's tough, and I know it's different than Florida and other places, but guys just want to play hockey and guys want to win. And if you get the right mix of guys, obviously it sounds like this most simple recipe ever, but very hard to do. So again, I don't know what the culture's like there. I don't know very many guys. I know Steve Lorentz, that's probably about it. But, maybe getting Marner out of there helps. I have no idea. Bringing somebody else in and seeing how it works. Hell of a hockey player he was, but maybe just a change of scenery and having somebody else in there. I'm not sure. I actually would love to pay more attention. Maybe watch a little bit more than your guys' show, but I love your take, so it's hard to get away from.
The show's all you need. What are you talking about?
You're right. Yeah.
We're your one-stop shop for all Maple Leafs conversation. I threw this in earlier. The Blue Jays haven't lost a game since Mitch Marner went to Vegas. But happy brought up Steven Lorentz. We had him on the pod last week, man. He just seems like an absolute beauty, a guy you want to work with, play with, and be teammates with.
Yeah, I worked out with Stevie when he was 15 years old, trying to make I think it was the Peterborough Pete's at the time. So that's obviously dating myself. And I was trying to make the NHL. Great guy, really good storyteller, really good memory. And awesome guy to go have a beer with for sure. Now he's got his name on Lord Stanley, so can't hurt.
Delps, I'm just curious at some of the options on what you're thinking. Do you have any ideas on what you're doing post-career as far as a job, or are you just going to live the dad dream for a while and see what comes?
I would like to do both. I mean, I can't sit idle. As you can tell, I'm like squirming in my seat here.
Me too, buddy. Me too.
No, like for me, like I was obviously for lack of a better term, a tweener in my career. Carved out 15 years of trying to make the NHL. And I just feel like I have so much value to bring to the youth. I love the player development role aspect of things. I was just out in Utah as like a guest coach for their development camp, just trying to get my feet wet and see how I like it. And it was everything that I thought it would be and then some. So to answer your question, I'd love to be in that player development role. I know it's a lot of people want to do that. But for myself, I just feel like with how my career went, I'm really looking forward to getting my hooks into some young guys on the ice, but more importantly, making relationships with them off the ice and kind of being a sounding board for them. And listen, I was the best player on my team at one time too. And then I got to the NHL and I was playing 4.5 minutes. And a lot of these kids are going to go through that, and it's sink or swim, but you can only talk to your agent and your dad and your mom so much. And I feel like that player development role is going to be key. And moving forward with, as you guys know, how some of these kids' personalities are and how they're raised, they're going to need that. So that's what I'm passionate about. And I'm hoping, I think I've emailed every GM and I've had a lot of rejection lately, but I just got to wait in the weeds for the right moment.
Fair enough. And it's funny you say that too, because I'm still trying to figure out this Isaac Howard kid. Didn't want to play for John Cooper and the Tampa Bay Lightning. So there you go, buddy. Go play in Edmonton. And I know McDavid's there for now, but how long is McDavid going to be there is the question. We glossed over a man who is important in your career, and that is Bill Zito, Delps. I can't believe we're sitting here a month later and he brought back all three of those fucking guys. It just drives me insane. Bill Zito, just speak. When I say that name, what comes to mind to you?
Hard to get on the phone. For one. No, Bill Zito, I had him he plucked me off waivers from Minnesota. And it's funny, I haven't told this story before, but he plucked me off waivers from Minnesota, and I thought I'd go right to the NHL, but he found some loophole in the CBA or something that sent me right to the minors. And I remember calling him, and he was like, "You're coming to Cleveland." And I was like, even my agent of, Steve Bartlett, who's been around for a while, I don't want to say it because he's Isaac Howard's agent, but he's been around forever. He didn't even know the rules. So my point with Billy is like, he found some loophole to get me to the minors. He's always thinking. He's an outside the box thinker, very passionate, very personable, very loyal. I've been with him for 8 years. The last 2 contracts I negotiated with him were practically by myself. They just ended up in my agent's inbox. So we're really tight. He's like I said, he's out of the box thinker. He's got a ton of help, but it's guys that he's loyal with. So I'm not surprised by the success that he's had in Florida. As a GM, as you guys would know, like I had a bunch of GMs, and not to their fault. I never really talked to them. I never really saw them. And when I did, it was either your sticks are taped up and you're going down, or it wasn't positive interactions as much as it is. And Billy's always down in the room. He's talking to guys. I think he's well aware that it's a business, but he lets you know. And him and Paul work out well next to each other. I feel like they bounce a lot of ideas off each other. And just hoping I can work for him one day. I don't want to make this a job interview, but he's hard to get on the phone.
Call him Billy, call him. No, but I think, and it's not because he's Italian. He is the modern day Lou Lamoriello. If you guys remember, in his prime, Lou Lamoriello could get anybody to sign anything, just not in Toronto, but everywhere else. In Toronto, it's like, hey, you want this, you take it, because you're going to go play in Switzerland or Columbus. Wanted to leave with getting your reaction. I know you love Rosie's takes. I know you love that viral video from 2 years ago where he talked about Mitch Marner and his maybe inability to lift Lord Stanley to begin with. But what do you make of the way Marner exited Toronto and now lands with the Vegas Golden Knights here?
It's a business at the end of the day, right? If the player wants to change the scenery, he wants to change the scenery. I know there's a lot of layers to that with him and the no movement clause and all that stuff. I always tell guys, Gretzky got traded. Gretzky went to other teams. I'm not comparing the two by any means, but if the player wants to go somewhere else, he shall. And, you don't wish him, you wish him the best. He's going to go to Vegas. Hopefully Toronto replaces him with a different type of player. And it's a good mix with the big boys there. And, I'm not going to sit here and say something bad about him and have it go viral because I don't know the guy, but, I always find hockey's hard to play in May and June, and some of these kids have to learn different ways on how to do that. And being in Florida, being around some like purebred winners, it's opened my eyes to how the game's supposed to be played and how it should be played. Because at the end of the day, you want to win your last game of the season, and that's the Stanley Cup. So hope Toronto figures it out, because I'm back in Southern Ontario, and you can't go to Tim Hortons without seeing 15 Leaf hats in the drive-through. So I'm looking forward to being around in the hockey hotbed of the world.
Very well said. I still feel like next year is Toronto's year, but I say that every year. Dalps, congratulations once again. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll talk soon, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Rosie. And I'm a little disappointed you don't have the Muzzy anymore there, but not you, Rosie. I'm talking to you, Nick. But is it coming back?
I can't.
Only a November thing. I got the shirt on though. I got my own T-shirt. You know that. Someone make a trade. What a shitty league. There's never any fucking trades anymore. But story for another day. The CBA and the money went up. That's great. Everybody's getting paid these days, but us, I guess.
Yeah, I have a shirt to give you. Because can I say something quickly?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a shirt to give you. Somebody made me a shirt that says "Another year, another clears." Whenever I cleared waivers, so you'll have to get that. You can throw that on.
I could wear that too, buddy. I could wear that thing all day.
Rejection.
Yeah, I always say, I'm like, you guys played in the show, man. I never that's a tough journey, man. And jokes aside, that is a tough journey to get there to begin with and play games, score goals. I won't lie. When you scored that goal against Boston a couple years ago, I jumped out of my TV. I went nuts in my condo. People were like, what the hell is going on? But it just felt so great for you, man. Those stories are so awesome. And again, it just speaks to Paul Maurice. Like, didn't care if you're Zac Delpy or Matthew Tkachuk. He found you. He found a role. And to your point, you elevated and found your way with that team. So great story. And I'm sure one of the big accomplishments in your career. Thank you so much, bud. We'll talk soon, okay?
Thanks, Delpy.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, boys. Appreciate it.
See you, buddy. There is Zac Dalpe, now retired, and clearly another career coming his way, whether it's player development, even media. I always like to tell these guys to get into media. I think some guys can talk, some can't. And I love his answer on Marner because he indirectly told us how he felt, which a lot of people do say on this show, I get it.
Well, yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. But I can see why he has been a part of so many teams and why he was able to play so long. Sometimes guys' careers get cut short because nobody really wants them, and they get a bit of a reputation or an attitude, and they burn too many bridges, and it's a small world. And you can tell from that interview, he's a guy that that did not happen to, and a guy that you'd probably want on your team every single time. So I'm not surprised at his success, and looking forward to kind of seeing what he does next, as he is, just seems like a handful of years behind me and doing the exact same thing.
The Dalp Doctor, and very appreciative of his time here on the podcast. I know you want to talk a bit. I think this is your last show this week. Gavin McKenna, what a big story. I don't know whose idea was to do like a special on ESPN, especially after it all leaked. We all knew he was going to Penn State. I didn't even tune in for this thing. I went to the mall instead. But he signs with Penn State, and apparently a pretty penny too. What they say, $700K US he's getting for that?
Well, I heard that report. I don't know if it's confirmed or not, but it's fun. We were talking with producer Vic yesterday, like, why would he do this? And he could screw up his stock, and what if he doesn't dominate? And I think I watched him play last year. I think his game will translate to NCAA just fine. It's just so interesting, as this has pretty much never happened, and it's happening at the level of the clear favorite number one pick that everyone has pegged as the number one pick from like 2.5 years ago. But in my mind, the jump from, and we're talking about it with Easton Cowan right now, the jump from major junior to the NHL is just out of control. It's out of control. It's ridiculous to ask anyone to even do it. How players do it is beyond me. And there's also a rule where you can't play in the American League, which would be a nice little stepping stone, albeit closer to the NHL than to junior. But then right there in the sweet spot, if you ask me, is the NCAA. And I've played D1 for a good program at UMD. And there's like, I had like a 24-year-old guy on my team and I was 19 and I just thought he was this old man, but he literally was a man. I wasn't. I still had, I was still lean. I was still baby faced. And then here's this Grizzly Adams, thick, pounding the weights man that you got to play against. It's fast, it's intense, but you have a ton of time to work on your craft. There's a lot of practice, there's a lot of lifting, there's a lot of attention to the nutrition and all the stuff that goes into being a professional, because these programs are put together and they have the money and they have the resources to say, this is everything you can do to get better. I think it's a good move for McKenna. I do not think in any way he's risking his first overall status. I mean, if you're good, you're good. Mm-hmm. If you're supposed to be this superstar and you go to NCAA and you don't dominate and your draft status falls, then what the hell were you worth anyways? You weren't a stud. You were overrated. True. You weren't a stud. Yeah. I think this kid's a stud and he's going to do just fine in NCAA.
Yeah, I think it almost allows you to excel more early on because you're going to be playing with men as opposed to boys. And I think on that note, I think it's actually, there's a way it could work for the CHL too, where I think you see more 15-year-olds with exceptional status and 14-year-olds and 16-year-olds specifically get a bigger opportunity to shine in the CHL. But no doubt that's a big blow when you have a Gavin McKenna and he's leaving to go play in the States. But I mean, money talks. And I was even hearing the rounds yesterday that there's scenarios where college players are going to make more than guys in the AHL. Like, think about that. But I think from my focus, man, it was more about like playing the best product you can at that age to get better and better. And I see a pathway there with college hockey as opposed to the CHL. We had the Cowan conversation a billion times. He was earmarked for the AHL last year, couldn't play in that league. And again, had a great year in junior, but there's only, so much you can level out at. And so from that standpoint, I like it too.
Yeah, and it's a blow to the Canadian Hockey League, which is unfortunate. Mm-hmm. I get it. But let's be honest, like there's players that outgrow the league and there's nowhere else for them to go. It's like either you crack the NHL or you go back to play with fucking 15-year-olds. Like, what are we talking about? That's an embarrassment to the game. Like, there should be an avenue for those players. And make no mistake, Gavin McKenna goes back to playing for the Medicine Hat Tigers next year. Like, what a farce that would be. He has outgrown the league. There's no one on the planet who wouldn't agree with that, yet he's forced. Like, there's a problem if he's forced to go back to that league. Even Easton Cowan, who's not of the status of Gavin McKenna, probably outgrew that league as he's lighting it up, MVP of this, MVP of that. Like, there needs to be these stepping stones. NCAA will probably be it for some people. I realize that nil money that came into NCAA was kind of more for like, you don't lose your scholarship for someone buying you a pizza. And if Reebok company wants to give you a couple bucks for wearing your shit, if you're Livy Dunn, that's fine. And now it's like, we'll pay you $500,000 to come play here. It's whatever. It is what it is. They're going to figure it out and sort it out and let the chips fall where they may. But I think with a guy like him, there's certainly a gap from the NHL to major junior that needs to be filled.
New CBA got ratified too, so that's a big story. 4 more years of labor peace. I mean, huge, it's funny, man. But like, it's massive. But the big thing that stands out for me, it's like, do you see a pathway? And I know the dress code has changed. You still see a pathway where these guys still show up in suits every game? Like I do. It's hockey players. That's all you've known.
Oh, it's not going to be some friggin' gong show dressing like Justin Bieber, like a bunch of fucking idiots walking
in
like
so?
It's the NBA. No, there'll be, Austin Matthews is probably going to wear some gaudy Coachella hat, even more so, whatever. Yeah. But the CBA, I've read it, and it says, well, basically it, and it says, while still conforming to the cultural fashion norms at the time.
You want me to read it?
Like, don't dress.
It says
like
clubs will no longer be allowed to implement a dress code for players. Instead, there'll be a league-wide dress code requiring only that players dress in a manner consistent with contemporary fashion norms. What does
There you
that
go,
mean,
yeah.
Rosie?
Don't dress like a freaking moron is what it means, but you don't have to wear a suit and tie. So it'll be interesting to see what guys wear. They're already
Yeah.
doing it to a degree with their suits and stuff, shiny suits and stuff, whatever. It's all good. The things that stood out to me were 84 game season. I think we've talked about
Yeah.
that. Mandatory neck guards coming in for players without any NHL experience after this coming season. So every rookie like Gavin McKenna is going to have to wear a neck guard in the NHL for the rest of his career. I was in the league when that got implemented with the visors. It was a certain amount of games played where you didn't have to. So I was grandfather, didn't have to wear it. It seems like a pretty reasonable idea. The neck guards, I just think it looks terrible. I think it looks amateur. Maybe my mind will change on that, but it's kind of an end of an era, which I'm old school, so I think it sucks. I think it sucks. I don't think it looks good. I think it looks dumb. One guy's died in a million years of hockey, which is very sad. That's a whole other story, but whatever. It is what it is. The thing that also stood out is no more fitness testing.
I saw that.
More fitness testing. Blows my mind how you're going to go to camp, and instead of camp being like 18 days long, it's like 8 days long. So that's going to be quick. It's all pro players in that department. Thinking about fitness testing the entire summer long. I was drafted by Tampa, so Tortorella was running camp for all of my formative years. They called it Camp Torturella. He was just ruthless. Like, you didn't touch a puck for the first 3 days of camp because they're just bagging the living shit out of you. And you got a tap on the head if you won everything, and you were basically cut loose if you were struggling in any way. So the fact that you don't even have to worry about that anymore is kind of wild. There was a lot of anxiety involved with it, waiting in line for your stuff. I would have to specifically train with my trainer out on the track running 3-mile races because that's what Tortorella wanted, even though it has nothing to do with hockey. It's an aerobic thing, and we're an anaerobic sport. And Tortorella would be in the middle of the track screaming at everyone with a megaphone in 90-degree humidity in Florida. And I'm like, what the fuck does this have to do with playing hockey? It was brutal. So it kind of raised my eyebrows as a former player to think that they don't have to do that anymore at all. And also, they've closed the LTIR loophole. And I think it was basically my suggestion too, to say, why don't you just say you can load up on other guys, but when the team you dress on the ice can't be $18 million over the cap. And it looks like they're going to bring in a 20-man, which is the amount you can dress for a game, cap that you have to be under. So you can load up at the deadline with a new guy or whatever, and you can still use them, but you can't use them all together. You can't activate Brady Tkachuk and use your new stud with Brady Tkachuk. You're going to have to get under the 20-man cap. So it's going to make it really interesting, and we'll see who it affects.
And as you mentioned, training camp shortened from 21 to 13 days, 18 for rookies with 1 day off during the first week. But yeah, those are the things that stood out, the dress code. And obviously the 84 games. I mean, I thought 82 was enough to find out if the Maple Leafs are different. Now we got to add 2 more games to that slate, but so be it. It's time now for the last call. Go ahead, Rosie.
I'm just saying it takes away from the shittiness of the exhibition games, which are a complete joke. I just can't believe, like, camp 3 weeks long. I think I've talked about like how much fighting I was, having to feel like I had to do in order to make teams and stand out. And everyone else on the other teams you're playing is thinking the same. So everyone's fighting and acting crazy. It's wild because there's a caveat there where if you've played over 100 games, you can't play more than 2 exhibitions. So like me, like going to a team trying to still make it, you only get 2 games now. So that could almost work against a guy going, dude, I'll play 5 just trying to show you what I got, but you only get 2. It's just crazy how much they've shortened camp. That used to be such a goddamn grind. And players kind of hated it. So I don't hate the idea that they're going to shorten it up in the big scheme of things and get to playing real hockey a little bit sooner.
I just can't stand how everything in society in general is so we don't hurt people's feelings anymore. Like, that's what fitness testing is about now. Like, I do not understand that, man. Is it because years back Sam Bennett couldn't do a pull-up, and like here we are at that conversation? The dress code, same thing. Like, I don't know why half this stuff needs to change, but so be it. Maybe I'm a fossil at 35 years old, soon to be 36. It's time now for the last call. Can I read this promo?
I'm not done. Why do we got to rap so bad? Usually we're grinding. Now we got shit to talk about. No, I'm just saying. I don't think that's about hurting feelings. I think it's the NHLPA, right? When you go to bargaining, you're going, well, we want this, and then they dig their heels in, and they say we want this, and we say over my dead body, and it goes back and forth. The players were probably like, listen, we hate camp. It sucks. You got some coach there watching you do pull-ups, and you're like, maybe you're a pusher guy, not a puller guy. And you're like, fucking watch this guy hang this over my head for the next 2 years that I didn't do enough fucking pull-ups. Like, get that shit out of here. We're done with that stuff. So the NHLPA won in that term, and the owners are probably like, we could give a shit who's doing fitness testing. So it's just interesting to see what they came up with at the end of the day. And if you have a chance when it comes out to go read the new CBA or the highlights of it, it's got some differences going on.
You got your hands on it, did you? Hey, maybe. You got hands on the new CBA. Yeah, me too. Last night.
Hooked up.
I guess so. Can I read it now?
Fine. Do your special little bet where you say, I'm going to keep riding the Blue Jays because I believe in them now that they're winning.
For 3 months, Rosie's like, can we end this show? It's like 29 after. Now it's 51 after. I want to talk. Let's talk. It's time now for the last call, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in the game. Use code NATION. That's NATION, NATION. Must be 19 or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, visit connexontario.ca. And you're right, that is my bet because the Blue Jays have won 10 in a row. Blue Jays run line. Again, the White Sox suck. I've been saying this for 3 days. Game called early due to rain yesterday. They beat the shit out of them. I think it happens again. Might even look at the over 8 in that game. It's an afternoon game here with the Jays trying to sweep away the White Sox on the road.
I like it. I am the Scottish Open before the British Open, or just the Open Championship. Let's go Rory at plus 900, getting in there, playing some links golf, which I was thinking that getting that monkey off his back at the Masters was going to be invigorating for him and the pressure that's on him. Maybe he can play a little free on that links course this week.
Well said. Fair enough. You're off for the rest of the week. I believe you're back next week where we go down to 3 shows a week. It's your birthday week, so maybe lots in store for that, but great stuff. And hopefully you got some stuff to talk about.
Well, even if we do, I'll just get cut short.
Don't fucking do that, man. It's been like months. Like I'm talking 6 months of this guy being like, hey, can we end this thing? And now like one day, you want to talk about college hockey and the CBA that we talked about 6 weeks ago.
6 months. I've been saying, let's cut it short. Okay, buddy.
At least lost in game 7. Rosie's like, can we wrap this? I got shit to do, man. So now it goes back the other way. And this guy's got, you want to add anything else before you wrap for the week here?
Let me go through my personal notes here. I think I touched on it. You did your best to ruin it, but we're going to be good. There you go, folks. You're not missing a thing around here. No, let's talk more about some fucking dickhead with 90 followers saying, I'm pretty sure that the Dustin Byfuglien's coming back and he's linked to the Maple Leafs. Let's fucking talk about that tomorrow morning. That'll be good. Good luck. My God.
Sounds good, Rosie. We'll talk to you next week, buddy.
See you later, man. Thanks.
At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs One Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com. Thank you to everybody in the chat. We'll chat tomorrow. Dave Pagnotta alongside his co-host. Rosie and I interviewed Michael Pezzetta yesterday, so you'll hear that interview coming up tomorrow. Thank you again to everybody in the chat. Zac Dalpe for dropping by as well. Thank you to producer Vic. For Jay Rosehill, I'm Nick Alberga. We'll talk tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews. We got clips. We got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.